Looks like we should be up and running and should thankfully be able to get started on time. Got Javier here. Okay, that's what I'm doing now. Space people. Exactly. Hi, Michael. I'm not on the qualify. Mr. Parliamentarian, point of parliamentary. Yeah, if you want to, it doesn't matter either way you slice it. Oh, I was asking in case it happens, it hasn't happened yet. Well, what's the time limit on when we have to have reached quorum? Of the meeting of the quorum? Or do we just stay in a consistent state of stasis until we hit quorum?
We stay in stasis until we hit quorum, I think.
Yeah, it should. I don't know if
It starts when we're at quorum.
Of course, magically quorum appears, as you say that. Asia, I love your hat. Eight is our quorum? Take a few more. You got one more sheet to go. Let's go call it up. I do. Oh.
Thank you. Link.
Oh, nice.
It's linked there. So I click that and it goes to a roll call sheet. Beautiful, isn't it?
Very efficient.
Thank you. It says two people on here. Should be on there. Let's fix that. Hi, Ben. Form is 9.
Now we're in.
Yeah, we got form. All right, folks, it's 5:30 now. We'll be getting started in just a few minutes.
Don't worry, Michael. We will be ordering you a nameplate and a little name.
Yeah.
Get a lot of hirings in so that everybody can get one at once. So I'm not bugging them with multiple.
Lance. Welcome, Lance.
Do you not want it to be? I'm glad to do it real quick. Well, it's a What are you looking for?
Legislator, I mean, Judiciary Wax.
I don't. If it's not in there, then I wouldn't know where it is. I do need to order them a new one though.
Yeah, I thought they at least if their legislative pen. Or even autumn's.
Remind me tonight to put that order into services office.
We need to get autumn. Sure.
Autumn needs a new one, Colin needs a new one, Michael needs one, and then I have to do some for the keyboards.
Anybody know where Val's at?
Who's your class?
Should be over by now.
Also, you can, tonight we should take on all the people who are no longer here.
Screw that, let's do it now.
And Wolf is still here.
Ben?
Do you want yours? Ah, dude. I didn't actually. Oh, that's right. Maybe, I remember. Oh, that's Benedette, his man.
Yeah, that's the context.
Two different nameplates. I forgot I ordered it after the summer. She's good. Leave it for now.
No, yeah.
What else we got?
That's all.
That is it. That is all.
We can remind.
Open house tomorrow?
But are you gonna remind?
Yes. I wanted to give them a general idea of when the date is. It's an all day thing, right?
9 to 3.
9 to 3.
I mean, 7 to 5. For bus ride.
Because the date is confirmed,
It is.
right? Because in the meetings, it sounded like they were hesitant about the date and whatnot, but we're solid there.
It's in for
Yes,
this.
I will give them an update on that because, I mean, it kind of flows into another thing I was going to talk about. It's not the same topic, but it flows well. But yeah, now that I saw the poster is a thing, I can tell them when the date is. You brought me a copy. Okay. Okay. Cool.
So you don't need to.
We'll inform the group that Alyssa's Lumpkin's office gave me a call.
How about that?
It's kind of her to do so. Here's a call. And our former vice president works.
It's kind of crazy.
All right, the time is now 5:35. We're gonna call this general body meeting to order. Start by calling the roll here. Y'all know the drill, folks. Speaker Fiente.
Excuse.
Steering Chair Valdez.
Excuse.
Parliamentarian Bella. Judiciary Chair Black. Commuter Support Chair Lunker. Legislator Baker. Legislator Truswicki. Legislator Abazai. Legislator Markowitz.
Present.
Thank you. Legislator Mays. Legislator Masson. Thank you. Said present in the chat. This is not. Here. Legislator Obra.
Present.
Legislator Rosario.
Present.
Legislator Wesley. Legislator Wiegand. Chair Black, is Legislator Wiegand excused? Okay. Thank you, Legislator Wolf. All right. We have 11 members present. That's good enough for a quorum. Now we'll move on to the reading of the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that Oakland University resides on the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabe, known as the Three Fires Confederacy, comprised of the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. The land was ceded in the 1807 Treaty of Detroit and makes up southeast Michigan. In recognizing the history and respecting the sovereignty of Michigan's Indian nations, Oakland University honors the heritage of indigenous communities and their significant role in shaping the course of this region. Further, we recognize the wrongs done to those forcibly removed from their homelands and commit to fostering an environment of inclusion that is responsive to the needs of First Peoples through our words, policies, and actions. The preservation and perpetuation of customs and traditions of indigenous nations are essential to our shared cultural heritage. A deep understanding of Native peoples past and present informs the teaching, research, and community engagement of the university in its ongoing efforts to elevate the dignity of all people and serve as shared stewards of the land. We'll now move on to item 4, approval of the agenda. A summary of the proposed agenda is now on the screen. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Moved. Wait a second. Seconded. Is there any objection? The agenda is adopted. Next, item 5. Are there any announcements at this time? Seeing none, we'll now move into new business. Item 6, starting with the approval of Hamza Khan as Director of Finance, led off by President Johnson.
Hello. So as you know, our former finance director, Sam, graduated. So VP Lasecki and I had the opportunity to interview some candidates over the weekend, and it was not an easy decision, as they'll tell you. We had some pretty good candidates, and it's a good problem to have when you have two people who are pretty qualified for the position that you want to hire both, but you got to stick with one. And we both felt that Hamza would be the best fit for both this position and the organization. So rather than rant about them the entire time, I will let Hamza talk to you themselves. Hamza, the floor is yours.
Before we get started on this, can the folks on the Zoom hear everyone in the room okay? Can I get somebody up? Thank you. Thank you, Javier. All right, Hamza, floor is yours.
Make sure that microphone is on,
Yeah.
Hamza.
Are you guys able to hear me now? Good, okay. So, as you guys know, my name is Hamza. I applied for the position last month, for Director of Finance. I believe I'd be a great fit with Student Congress and for this position as a whole. Just some Few things about me, I'm a junior right now, I am majoring in finance. I am currently doing a lot of accounting supply chain stuff right now within my core classes. On top of this, I've had experience when it comes to finance and budgeting for a little bit now. I've run simulations within classes, I know the general gist of things. On top of that, I've had experience and hands-on experience in the workforce for about 4 years now. And on top of that, that's really just the general gist of me and some personal stuff. I'm huge into tech. I make a lot of stuff on my own. I've built my own computer. And that's just some random stuff about me. But yeah, I hope I can do just about what you guys need to do, and I hope that I can be a great fit for the team.
Thank you. Please stay up at the podium. We're gonna start with a round of questions. Are there any questions for Hamza at this time? Legislator Ogra.
Hi, can you further explain the type of hands-on experience you mentioned that you had?
Yeah, so I honestly started pretty small. I did a lot of retail and service stuff, but recently I branched out and I did a little bit of sales. That allowed me to learn more about how budgeting works and essentially how I'm supposed to manage my time. That actually helped me a lot more with my management skills. But when it comes to like experience with budget, I was working with that for about the course of 3 or 4 months. The budget was not really the same. It was more governmental, it was obviously more corporate, stuff like that. But it allowed me to kind of develop that hands-on experience in the sense of understanding what to do with money that I've been given, or rather a group of people, and learning how to balance and manage that under here.
Anything else, Legislator Ogra? Are there any other questions for Hamza at this time? Seeing none, want to make sure I'm not missing any on Zoom. Again, seeing none. Okay, so Hamza, the way we do this is now that you've been asked questions, we're gonna have you step out of the room for a few so we can discuss. And once we've voted, we'll bring you back in and let you know what's happened. All right, are there any points of discussion at this time? Again, are there any points of discussion at this time? Seeing none, we'll now move into a vote on the approval of Hamza Khan for this position. Black.
Yeah.
Baker.
Yeah.
Wolf.
Yay.
Bella.
Yeah.
Drewswicki. Markowitz.
Yay.
Mays. Mason. Says yay in the chat. Oprah.
Yeah.
Rosario. Legislator Rosario. Wesley.
Yay.
Can someone please go get the new director of finance? Y'all are awful quiet today. Congratulations, Director Khan.
Hamza. Come sit up here now.
And you get to be at the keyboard table now.
Join the cool kids club. They're not dying. Go ahead.
All right. Now that that's been handled, let's move on to item 6B. First reading and potential final passage of CR 6818, presented by Director Van Patten. You have the floor.
Okay, good. Okay, so this was a resolution that I drafted with an entire class of students, in my American literature class. Because our professor, gave us basically the entire class to discuss, the events on this past, what day was it? That,
It was
was
Thursday,
it
right?
lockdown? Yeah. To discuss those events and to have kind of a group discussion on what students, especially students who live on campus, might want to see from the administration when it comes to improving safety, as well as improving those lines of communications, those lines of communication that seem to be a little bit too vague during that lockdown process, where students weren't necessarily made aware of the nature of what was happening. Like through the text messages went out. And OUPD was a little bit slow in communicating the nature of that threat. Whereas there was information available on other sources online from like the Auburn Hills Police Department, where they posted information where students were getting the information there first before they would have been able to get it from OUPD. So it took a little bit of time for that to happen. So students were talking about that in my class. LG, would you mind scrolling down?
Yes.
Just the, like, we could pass the word out.
Before you do that, just as a point of information, legislator Rosario did vote yay on the last vote, and I missed it. I'm gonna correct the record regarding that. Go on.
Right. If you could scroll just to like the actual,
Pass the whereas, sorry,
statements,
got
yeah.
a little sidetracked.
So then, yeah, to describe this first one, this is evaluating, this is basically just saying that Oakland University Student Congress will be taking the position that, we want to see the administration kind of standardize communication practices, or at least see some form of improved communication during scenarios like this. So I'll just read actually, yeah, not withholding any relevant vital information pertaining to such incidents. That can, unless, it concerns the safety of staff or students. Ensuring vital information is communicated in its entirety in a timely manner to all students. Clearly and meaningfully defining the scope and severity of such incidents. Because what went out in the text messages and what went out on like certain accounts, there was like descriptions, but there wasn't really a clear the suggestion of a response for students. It was just like, oh, lockdown, stay where you are, right? And that kind of leads into the third portion of it. If you just go down to the third portion there, we're gonna get to the second portion afterwards. The third portion would be Oakland University Student Congress taking the stance of like, we'd like to see some move towards the administration providing maybe better training when it comes to circumstances like this, or better information to students as well as like faculty and staff. And then one of the things that the class I was working with presented to me was like, there have been like posters in bathrooms around campus about like self-defense courses. And so they were like, it wouldn't be like a crazy thing for the administration to maybe like promote stuff like that. So I put it in there because that was like, actual student concerns, and they thought that would be a good idea. As well as, other preparation materials, just discussing what to do in these kinds of events, these sort of emergency situations. And then if you could scroll back to the second portion, this whole second portion is pertaining to, I think, a concern that is a little bit more broad when it comes to security on campus, which I've like well before the events of Thursday happened, I've talked to students about like these kinds of safety concerns on campus, where it seems as though it is very easy for non-students and like non-faculty or staff to get into the housing on campus and to access, a lot of areas on campus where it feels as though like there should be somebody there to ensure that like everything is going well. And that we aren't just letting things go like, what's the word? I don't know, just like unlooked at, basically. And I think especially within housing, because one of the concerns that I've talked to students about on multiple occasions is the defunding of night watch on campus within student housing. This seems like a grave mistake. I know in calling for better security on campus, I think there's always the concern of like the administration taking that in the form of like more police or more like surveillance in some way. And I think this is the way approaching it in this manner by, just sort of asking for, some move towards a better system of night watch or just some people around, students who are hired, to just be around and like report situations as they come up, right, if need be, as well as just making sure that someone is there to know who is coming and going within student housing especially. It just seems like a very important thing to maintain safety on campus. And to have defunded such a program seems kind of silly. And so this is sort of calling for the university to, provide proper incentives to students to maintain such a program as like student housing night watch. And then, yeah, as well as sort of calling for more just like provision of security, especially during campus events. Whereas it seems quite odd that student organizations have to pay for security at like, larger events like protests, because it almost seems as though it's like you shouldn't have to pay a police department to protect you when you're, when you're using your, rights to express your opinions. But yeah, I will leave it there and open to questions.
Well, just to begin, I want to fill in some context on that last point, regarding the charge for police presence at the protest that was held a couple of weeks ago. There are some internal discussions about that and potential related changes to policy, but that's all the comment I can give on that at the moment. Chair Black, lead us off.
Hello, you will see my name on this bill as a supporter, and as somebody who lives in campus housing, I definitely understand the necessity for something like this. As someone who was lucky enough to make it back through the doors of my dorm right before they locked on Thursday, and I would have been stuck outside, because of the campus lockdown. I was talking about that with a friend just earlier today who asked me, this person, for context, was formerly an RA in Oakview and is a graduate student now, and asked me, oh, does Oakview still have night watch? And I had to tell him that Oakview hasn't had night watch since I started as a student here. And they were very shocked and disturbed by that, I think, as they should be. So Student Congress is in a position to take a stand on this and to be an advocate for students living on campus, our job. And I think this is a good way of presenting it. And I've read through your resolution. Of course, I support it. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Chair Black. Next, we'll do Zoom Legislator Rosario, followed by President Johnson.
I disagree with the wording in this resolution about the housing not funding night watch, because that's not what's happened. Is housing as a whole doesn't have the proper funds to support all of their past programs. It's not a lack of support for night watch. It's just a lack of funding headed towards housing as a whole. Um, I think that's something that not a lot of people either remember or know in general. Um, it's also a problem that there's just not enough people interested in actually working for Night Watch. The You can put it on the RAs, but it's whether or not those RAs will want to work it. It'll be their job if it's put on them. But how many more people are going to sign up to be RAs if that additional responsibilities put on them? That's just my quick thoughts here. With that, I yield.
Can I give a response to it?
Go on ahead.
I agree with those points that you presented. It is overwhelming funding to housing. I think we could be in agreement though that this, this bill it's pointing to a particular thing within the issue. And I think it's more of like it's meant to be like a start in addressing a particular issue and just sort of like calling for improvement in a certain area. Whereas I do recognize that like your point on it being like a housing issue in general, as well as like maintaining student staff who want to be in those positions is like the greatest difficulty. And that's why I think like we tried to word it in the form of like, we want to see more incentives given to students who might possibly take those positions. But otherwise, I agree with what you're saying.
Is that all, Legislator Rosario?
Yes.
Thank you. President Johnson, followed by Legislator Wolf.
All right, the couple of points I wanted to make, because I know the Night Watch conversation was one we had in depth last year. And I will follow that by saying, Vice President Lasecki, I do have a meeting on Friday with the housing leadership, so we can discuss that to get a bit more clarification on what led to the ending of Night Watch. But if I recall correctly, there was it was majority of a funding issue more than anything, but I'm happy to clarify that with them on that. What I want to avoid us doing is getting bogged down on the wording of one section, because then we end up losing sight of the overall vision of what the resolution is about. Because I will note, neither Director Van Patten nor Chair Black were the first people to make that point, and even to me, when I read the resolution. So I think it's important, especially when we go through things like this, for us to be willing to say, hey, we recognize that you all have a job to do. Here's how you doing it in this way affected us, and here's how we'd like to see it done going forward so that students feel safer on campus. Because one thing I have argued many, many times is that students deserve to feel safe on this campus, and issues like this tend to threaten that feeling of safety. So if there's a way we can communicate that it can help those types of things, I think it's important that we do so. I will yield the floor.
Thank you, Legislator Wolf, followed by Legislator Mays.
Hi, I assisted in the editing and, the specific semantics of this bill, so I've come through it quite extensively, and I found this bill to be quite sensitive and sound towards what issue it is trying to address, and I am in support of this bill. Secondly, a point of information just for agenda's sake, there's precedent in OUSC in general that resolutions are eligible for vote after first reading. I can show various previous agendas, and I believe President Johnson can speak to this and confirm this.
What's that
I yield.
referring to? Why is it being mentioned? Is there?
Is there on the agenda that it's not being voted on today? Oh, can you change that? on the
That
agenda?
must.
That must have been a typo on our end, but yes, the resolution's only.
Yeah, that is my bad. This is held.
Sorry for the mistake on that end if it caused any confusion, but yes, this is eligible for a vote today.
Legislator Mays, followed by Legislator Markowitz.
Hey guys. So, as a housing student and someone who got stuck at the OC during the event last Thursday, I agree with this bill as a whole. For me, he was hearing parts about it. Like I know you said don't focus on the whole, like focus on the whole thing, not the little things, but the parts about housing defunding, I kind of thought about last year when we had the attempted robbery and the conversation surrounding that. So maybe being more, making the information more, I don't know if it's right, you know what I mean?
Accessible earlier or something like that?
The information here about housing defunding, making it more accurate, I should say, because there are circumstances, but the only other thing, I agree that, maybe it's just my personal opinion, but that's my personal opinion, like, but that I yield.
Legislator Van Patten, or Director Van Patten, were you going to respond to that?
If you have any suggestions on like any amendments you think could be made, like on the wording, of a particular thing, like if, you think it would be useful to not just generalize, I mean, or specify, like defunding night watch, but instead like the defunding of housing total, is that like what you were sort of getting at with it? Okay, would would we be able to make a friendly amendment? to-
Point of parliamentary inquiry. Given that the speaker is not a voting member, are they allowed to accept a friendly amendment?
I think we could take a friendly amendment.
Okay. Aisha, are you offering a friendly amendment?
So within, like, if we look at the second point, uh, like, we do have it to where it is like the sort of heading there is especially within student housing. So it's pointed at that, kind of already as like student housing in general. Is that, would you say that's good, or like add something that's more pointed in like fund student housing more? Like overall.
I mean, as good as it is, I just personally in my head feels like it can be the other, not even the other top part could just be better, but that's just me in my head, so it's fine as it is.
Okay,
Legislator Mays. Next up, Legislator Markowitz, followed by Advisor Miller.
Yeah, so just a couple things that I wanted to add. So first, just as a side note, I didn't think that anybody mentioned, but I received 7 calls from OUPD. Did somebody already mention that? Okay.
Hasn't been mentioned, but we have people in the room agreeing.
Thank you. Yeah, so I received 7 calls. Obviously, the first one informed of what was going on, but then the next 6 informed of the exact same thing. So if their whole objective was to not scare people by saying that somebody was stabbed, then they shouldn't have called us 7 times in a row, making it sound like this is like emergency, emergency, but then repeating the same thing over and over and over again of just like, there's been an assault reported. Please stay where you are. But more importantly, than that point, I would like to know after this is voted on, what is the intention with this resolution? Are we planning on meeting with OUPD? Are we like what is the game plan to ensure that this leads to actual tangible change?
Director Manhattan yields to President Johnson to address that point.
Hello. So upon the passage of this, my initial intent was to share it with some folks in student affairs. It's just called student affairs now, just so that they're aware. Also, because I've talked with DP Wadsworth in the past. And are you? Oh, you're red flagging the name. And he's always very passionate about championing what students want to see and the concerns students have. And I'm pretty sure, I have not had a chance to talk with him about this specifically, but if we bring this to him, this is definitely something he's going to want to see so that he can be involved in the progression of, and he can also assist us in having those further conversations, either be it with OUP or other administrative figures. But my intention was to start there to see if he could help us in giving it to other people.
Thank you, President Johnson. Anything else from Legislator Markowitz?
Nope, but that I yield. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I believe next it was Advisor Miller, followed by Legislator Wolf.
I just want a point of clarification and that and an update that one individual students would never be charged for the cost of the OEPD overtime. But I also would like to let you know that the groups, the 2 student organizations are also, I can confirm, are not being charged as well. And second of all, in terms of suggestions suggestion of, how maybe this could be handled in the future. I would suggest more visibility of OUPD being on this campus, not, you see them when there's incidences of where they need to be present, but I suggest it's like community policing, that they go through the open center every once in a while, or go through, I don't know if they do rounds in the rest floors. Right, building. Just a presence is a sense of comfort and safety. And so that would be one of my suggestions to, for, what to move forward with, and maybe you can suggest that President Johnson in terms of your discussions with the administration. Thanks.
Legislator Wolf?
If you so will, if you scroll back up to the top, I've added a suggestion changing the language that might might satisfy legislator May more in terms of her concerns, and also legislator Hoggator's. I mean Rosario's, my apologies.
We're trying to figure out the mic issue, don't worry.
To clarify, Legislator Wolf, are you offering that as a friendly amendment? Okay. Director Van Patten. As a point of information for the rest of the room, we've got about 4 minutes left in discussion.
Yeah, I already said those.
Okay, so, now, Legislator Mays will get you in a second. Legislator Van Patten, do you have access to edit the document at the moment?
I do.
Director. Legislator Mays.
For the third one, for A at the very bottom. I know we talked about a lot about housing procedure, and it says online or in-person training courses for proper procedures in certain situations. Going back to Thursday, I got stuck at the OC and with many other students on the OC during the whole thing, and it made me think like, we're talking a lot about housing procedures, but we never talk about what to do when these emergencies happen in the OC or in the different schools. So maybe less about this in general, but talking more about to the administration about making more awareness for training and procedures when it comes to the general buildings campus. That's just what I wanted to point out. With that, I yield.
Thank you. Seeing no other points of discussion, I'll just note I was not present at the time this incident happened, but I heard there were also some concerns with the amount of time that it took OUPD to respond to the incident. I was wondering if there was any discussion on that subject. Legislator Baker. Followed by Legislator Mays.
As this incident was happening, not as we were receiving news, but as this was happening, I was outside walking from the Oakland Center to my dorm Oakview. I was with a student who I don't want to get too into it too much on record, but who is severely underserved by the police department. And I received this text and I was just overcome with a wave of dread about how completely innocent students might be treated about this. And then I barely made it into my building before I would have been locked out. And then I spent 45 minutes watching people get locked out and then be let in with no security checks. And then finally, after 45 minutes, getting the text that we were on lockdown for the first time. So that really bothered me. And I think this resolution is really important.
Legislator Mays. You have 1 minute and 20 seconds left, but.
I was looking outside and I had just left Oakland. The police and to between Hamlin and
Look a little closer to the mic, please.
Yeah, I was leaving Oakview when I first saw the first three police cars heading to the Twin Hamlin and the other place where after that. And as soon as I got to the OC, they locked everyone down. And I think my main concern, like the big language as well, I was with my boyfriend. He was black male, wearing all black, wearing white shoes. And my concern was half of my friend group was wearing the same description. So even when we were let go 3 hours later, OC closed at 11, we got out at 11:18. We had got there at 8:30 PM. My concern was the police, going after him or any of my friends on our way back to our dorms, so that's just something to note as well.
It's important to note. Are there any other points of discussion at this time? Seeing none in the room, are there any on Zoom? Works out nicely that, our timer is coming to a close, just as we're done talking. Now move into a vote, right? All right, we'll now move into a vote on the adoption of this resolution CR 6818. You all know the drill. Answer when you're called upon. Legislator Black. Sorry, Chair Black. Caught myself. Thank you. Baker. Wolf. Bella. Krzyzewski. Markowitz. Legislator Markowitz. Mays. Mason. We have a yay from Legislator Markowitz in the chat. Legislator Mason, can you hear us? Can you hear none? Oprah? Yay. Rosario?
Yay.
Wesley? Yay. All right, with 10 votes in favor, none in opposition, no one abstaining, except, I guess de facto Legislator Mason. The resolution is adopted. All right, unless there are any other points of new business to be added, we'll now move on to old business, starting with reading of CB 6826. Just a point of clarification, it's still in the order of second reading in terms of its process. What? But this was tabled at the previous meeting, so this is the third time it's actually being read, but for purposes of tracking, it is still on second reading. Hi.
So, third time to chart. So I don't think much has changed from this bill. I know it was talked about very briefly as a legislative meeting. But I don't think much discussion was had. I think the biggest obstacle before we can pass this, is we make sure that the advisor section is good. Because as far as I understand, we fixed it at the meeting. It was good during the ledge meeting. So if Advisor Miller doesn't have any problems with the advisor section, we could pull that up. Then I think we could just, be done with hatching it out.
What, is that subsection E here?
Yeah, that would be subsection C at the bottom. There's the fully made version at the bottom.
Oh, talking about this?
Oh, yeah, there.
Okay.
That's also, yeah. For transparency's sake, I did make, one change. History of document.
You want me to pull up the edit history? Okay.
I can't find it. I just changed it to have plural and more ambiguous language on advisors are to remain unbiased, I think. Or advisors are given full right. Oh. Advisors act as a liaison. I just changed it to advisors act as liaisons. So that was a change of the image. But, that was just proofreading. I think it's good. If anybody has any questions, I'm yielding, so.
Advisor Miller, do you have any perspectives to share on this? Okay, are there any other points of discussion or questions at this time? Seeing none, I guess we're good to move into a vote on this one. Thank you, Parliamentarian Bella. Need to queue up another vote here. Just take me a second. Black. Baker. Wolf. Bella. Drewswicki. Markowitz. Legislator Markowitz was. Can you type yay again, just to clarify that that's for this bill? Thank you. Legislator Markowitz said yay in the chat. Mays. Mason. Thank you. Oba.
Yay.
Rosario.
Yay.
Wesley. 10 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. This bill is adopted unanimously. Next up, order second reading, CB 6827, oath of office. Chair Black, you have the floor for this one.
One, two, one, two. Hello. By this time, I believe we've all read it. We've had our time to speak about it. I just wanted to make note of a couple changes. One is that with the previous bill having passed defining members of the executive as observers in our membership guidelines, I just quickly added members and observers to the oath of office's scope of applicability, because that was a concern that I got from Advisor Miller, was making sure that this applied to you folks in the executive board as well. And of course, that's part of why I brought this to President Johnson in the first place, was I didn't want to impose this on folks who had no chance to read it or to give feedback on my and Legislator Wolf's writing. I also wanted to make note of the fact that should Director Van Patten's bill go through next, this will be the last one not to include an appendix with the bill or the changes laid out as they will be in the bylaws. But for your information, I did make a copy of Appendix 1 with this popped into it. And while I'm up here, I just wanted to address some concerns that were raised in discussion last week concerning the utility of the oath of office itself. I heard, not unjustifiably, given, if I may be so bold, the state of OUSC work as it currently exists, or as it has existed for the bulk of this academic year, of what on earth does this matter for? Could you, Judiciary Chair Black, not be devoting your time to matters of greater importance? And perhaps I could, but this has been a concern of mine since I started doing judiciary work in the first place. And it's been a concern of President Johnson's, I believe, since we discussed it at that time. And I like to think, as I will admit, flowery as some of the language in the oath of office I've constructed is, that in some sense it will help everyone, but my mentality is that once we get this squared away, once we have in our hands this governing document that Appendix 1 says we're supposed to have had all along, once we can get that squared away, then I can go back to doing the fun and important parts of my job. If President Johnson has any further comment, or if any of my co-sponsors have further comment, I will defer to them.
President Johnson.
Yes, as mentioned by Chairperson Black, it was actually convenient timing in which they brought this to me, because I was going to come to them to say, I think we should do a bill to get the oath of office in the bylaws, So I think it's a very necessary thing to do, even if people don't understand the utility of it. I think the fact that every year we all swear this oath and no one actually knows what it says, and the only place that it exists is in meeting minutes from a meeting a couple of years ago is not great. And B, I've always maintained that because it's a professional standard we hold ourselves and each other to, it should be laid out in writing as to what that is. And I want to thank Judiciary Chair Black for taking the initiative on writing this one. I yield the floor.
Thank you, President Johnson. Judiciary Chair Black.
I would be remiss not to credit my co-sponsor legislator Wallach, who wrote about a third to half of what ended up in comparing meetings to the SAFB chair of the not figures and what we think for their editorial help. I sound like I'm accepting the award. I apologize.
Thank you, Chair Black. Are there any points of discussion? Legislator Mays.
This is less. This is just to show what the oath of office is. Going forward, are future members of Congress supposed to say the whole thing, or is it just so that we have an oath of office in, right?
That is up to whoever is chairing any meeting henceforth where we have a perspective going on for someone accepting a new position. I wanted it deliberately vague to give that wiggle room. Yes, legislative.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say. The first point of just having it as writing would be nice, but my concern is, the may future legis or future who have use trouble just saying the whole thing. That's the only thing I just.
The way I've envisioned it is either we could have the chair read the thing, and then at the end of it, the prospective legislator or executive board member, as in wedding vows, simply says yes. Or potentially we could do what we've done with the land acknowledgement in the past and just have some kind of a truncated version that's actually read aloud by the chair while the full version is on screen and visible to you. But again, I wrote it with a process in my head, but I wanted to make sure that that process was not set in stone because it's just better, in my opinion, when that sort of procedure is given some wiggle room, made flexible.
President Johnson.
Yes, I was going to offer that typically the oath of office is only administered once, which is at the start of a new term. That I think that's the process Chair Black was mentioning of when it's delivered. It can be delivered to new legislators that have been approved. It's more of a ceremonial thing that I don't think we've done before, but it can happen if they want it to. But typically, the president administers the oath of office at the beginning of the new term, and then you don't have to worry about it again until you run again if you choose to. But yeah, so in the sense of prospective legislators who come in, they don't have to swear the oath if they don't want to, and if they do, it's more ceremonial, but this kind of enshrines the understanding that this is part of the standard you're being held to. The recitation part is the formality.
Thank you, President Johnson. Are there any other points of discussion at this time? Second call, any points of discussion? Any on Zoom? Seeing none, we'll now move into a final vote on passage of CB 6827. Thank you, Chair Black. Black.
Yeah.
Baker.
Yeah.
Wolf. Bella.
Yeah.
Drzwicki. Markowitz.
Yay.
Thank you. Mays. Mason. Thank you. Said yay in the chat. Oprah.
Yay.
Rosario.
Yay.
Wesley.
Yeah.
All right, we got 11 votes in favor, not opposed. This bill is adopted unanimously. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Now, next up, will be second reading of CB 6828. Director Van Zant, you've got the floor.
Is it not working? It's not.
Yeah. List reason for going up to the podium.
Yeah.
Alrighty, everyone. As there was no real further suggestions to what could be changed to this bill. Nothing in this bill has been changed. Again, it is just putting formatting guidelines for the bylaws inside of the bylaws. So that we have that just for future reference for everybody to use when editing the bylaws. Or when presenting edits to the bylaws. And so that is the purpose of this bill.
Thank you. Are there any points of discussion on this one? Seeing crickets, are there any on Zoom? Seeing digital crickets. Didn't even have time to tee up another vote, so. Yes, you can stall for time while I update the sheet.
And I just want to make it very clear that a portion of this, because it is important that I should mention it, a portion of this is a requirement being placed upon members of the legislature to provide an edited appendix with each proposed bill that would amend the bylaws. Just in case you did not know this or were unaware.
Now that that's all the discussion, is there any objection to moving into a vote? Seeing none, Black. Baker. Wolf. Bella. Drewswicki. Markowitz.
Yay.
Mays. Mason. Can you say yay again, just to clarify who's for this bill? There are a lot of yays in the chat. Thank you. Obra.
Yeah.
Rosario.
Yay.
Wesley. 11 in favor, not opposed. Bill is passed unanimously. We'll move on to item 8, discussion. Are there any points of discussion at this time? Seeing none, we'll now move to legislative updates. Don't think there's much of a speaker's report. Now move on to legislative leadership. Chair Black.
Hello. Whoa, okay. Speaker failed to say when they were in the office earlier today, again, just to clarify, they are excused this evening. But when they were here earlier today, the two of us with some additional input from SAFB Chair LaBelle and a read over to make sure it complied with parliamentary stuff from Parliamentarian Bella, our bill to limit the enumerated powers of the judiciary chair, or at least to heavily qualify them to guard against exploitation of the loopholes that I've used this mic to point out before. That is done. That is sent to Carolina. All goes well, it'll be on the agenda next week, and that will be squared away. And because it will establish a minimum number of members in the committee for me to host hearings in the first place, that'll put some pressure on me to find some members. We're working on it. Vice President Lasecki has been, I don't want to say hounding me, but has made some choice comments about it.
Only a little.
Only a little. Yes, that's true. With that being said, judiciary work has continued as it always has. I've got some more relevant legislation coming up, and I'm working with Speaker Fantate and Vice President Lasecki to establish some kind of workaround for this semester, not having a director of student affairs who can do the work that we really need a director of student affairs to do, but they might have more to say about that.
As the director of student advocacy.
I get the.
No,
I think
totally.
you and Val and myself all of them. I think the three of us got that messed up when we were having this discussion, but that should be coming up as soon as possible. Um, So I am using my powers for good, I assure you. Thank you all for filling out the excused absence forms when you need an absence excused. I really do appreciate it. It makes my job so much easier.
Good lord.
I'm surprised it took that long to go wrong this time. That might be. Are there any other legislative leadership updates at this time? Let me double check the Zoom, again seeing none. Legislative project and initiative updates, starting with Legislator Wolf.
Me, legislator, Baker and VP Lasecki, we had a successful meeting with Dean Wallace of Kresge Library. We have the legislative framework on the language for the bill to acquire things for the, library of things. We are now just seeking, feedback from the legislature and students on what items we could, provide to the library. Currently, we have a pretty, like solid list of things that we would be looking to, get purchased and deposited in the library. But if anyone would want to help with cabling or just talking to students about this or have their own personal ideas, please get in touch with me, or Legislator Baker. Additionally, after this, I'll probably be doing a Metro Cog packing. More likely, I'll get working on entering our clipboard data into a spreadsheet on the Metro products that have been filled so far. With that, I yield.
Thank you, Legislator Wolf. Legislator Markowitz.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a couple updates on my recruitment for the classroom engagement chair. We just had our 25th applicant today, and about 18 or 19 of those people have had interviews scheduled. I think at this point, like 12 or 13 have been interviewed. Um, and I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood kind of the process that I'm following, which is that I basically just have like an informational interview with them. I tell them about Student Congress. I explain to them that there's really not a whole lot of difference between being a legislator and being a classroom engagement chair because they both get the same hours and the same pay, but that there's more flexibility with being a legislator. And so I expect that a decent amount of them coming in will probably just be interested in being legislators, with a focus on classroom engagement, but also with the flexibility to focus on other things too. So I'm hoping that we should get somewhere between 6 and 8 legislators coming in pretty soon. Besides that, I've been hard at work the last couple weeks with starting to plan our annual student panel. For those of you who haven't been around for the last student panel, we do it once a year with the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, which provides teaching resources for faculty on campus. And basically, the theme of the event is we choose something related to classroom engagement. We have 4 panelists, and then faculty are able to ask the students any sort of questions that they want on that topic, or even not on that topic. And it's intended to separate everybody from the classroom itself and just make it more open dialogue where students aren't afraid to tell the truth. However, this year we're doing it differently, and so it's going to be a roundtable event. And so we're going to have 15 student speakers instead of 4. OUSC is also going to provide food. And I think I might have mentioned this already last week, but I really would like to get more panelists finalized. I think we're at like 8 right now, and that's not including the vast majority of people that I've been interviewing for the classroom engagement chair. So more are coming, but if that's something that you're interested in, I would love to have you as a part of it. So please just let me know. My last thought is I am still recruiting for the classroom engagement chair. I think it just makes sense given the fact that we've had so much interest and that we have so many openings in Student Congress. And so please, please, please help me post about it. I posted a couple times in our Slack asking for people that are in different Snapchat group chats to put it into the Snapchat group chats, and I have not heard anything from anybody. So finally, I just started skipping around and posting it myself, but I've been doing so many interviews and working so many hours. So if you could please just help me out and take one thing off of my plate, that would be greatly appreciated. With that, I yield.
Legislator Markowitz, did you say 25 applicants?
That is correct.
That's pretty impressive. Dare I say it's even funnier than 24.
Really?
Come on, do I at least get a groan for that one? Chair Black.
Look, I just wanted to clarify, because this has come up in a few updates, a few weeks worth of updates, and I don't know if I've mentioned this yet. Legislator Markowitz very transparently came to me with his plan to find a classroom engagement chair and acting in the manner of his precedent, I say this with fondness, he was a little bit overly concerned about the potential for impropriety, given that it is a position that he created and is trying to fill, like bringing in legislators with the intention of filling. And I gave him the go-ahead. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. It certainly didn't violate our bylaws in any way. And I am related to hear that there's so many applicants, and I hope to see them in the gallery in the next couple of months. That would be wonderful. And with that, Aidan.
Thank you, Chair Black. Are there any other legislative project and initiative reports at this time? Parliamentarian Bell.
So. There's a thing I've been working on with collecting comments for salt on the sidewalks. I collected a couple more today and I've emailed the director of facilities, I believe it was. So hopefully that gets some results soon. We're hoping to get an email back for maybe a Zoom meeting or a guest speaker to come in. But I'm always willing to collect more comments. So if anybody has more comments on the ice, even if it's improving, because I've heard people say it's been improving since the snow has stopped. Please come up to me so I can report those, but that's about it.
Thank you. Are there any other legislative project and initiative updates at this time? Oh, sorry, Legislator Mays.
In the works. I have an idea. President Johnson speaker, if this, and potentially legislator, Markowitz. I was thinking of potentially if we have any leftover funding, using it for an idea of buying like one book for really expensive classes on campus, so that teachers have an incentive to give their students the books they need in order to pass classes for their expensive books. So I want to that. Well, just putting it out there, the idea of those people on that with President John. That's about it.
Thank you, Legislator Mays. Are there any other legislative project and initiative reports, Chair Black?
This is just a point of information for Legislator Mays. Do we ever have leftover money left? And we are looking for ways to spend it to help the student body. So that's wonderful to hear that that's something you're interested in.
It's also worth noting that additional donations might be helpful to the Library Things project. Just saying. Any other reports on legislative projects and initiatives? Seeing none, are there any questions on legislative reports? Again, seeing none, are there any reports from liaisons tonight? Legislator Obra.
Big yeah.
Hello, okay, I am speaking as the stage liaison. We plan to have a date for the drag show. It's March 31st in the ballrooms again. The theme is Wild West this year.
Is that all? Thank you. Any other liaison reports at this time? Seeing none, we'll now move into executive reports. President Johnson, take it away.
Hello. I had a way I was going to start this, but I've changed my mind. I decided to start it with something else. given that we did just discuss it, I find it salient to at least mention the lockdown we had on campus as I was here. I was luckily in my dorm, but I almost was not. I too was getting ready to leave when I got the text saying, hey, there's a lockdown. And I ended up going back to my dorm until I figured out what was going on. And something I don't think we discussed when we discussed the resolution that I knew is not only did I receive 6 or 7 text messages and phone calls, but so did my mother. And one thing I will say is if you think students are very concerned about what's happening on campus, wait until you meet a very worried parent who cannot access their student. But my mom, she was the first person to call me because she got the phone call I did. We were able to talk to her. I told her I am fine, I'm okay, I don't know what's happening yet, but I'll let you know as soon as I do. And that's when she ordered that I not leave my dormitory, so I didn't. But I wanted to bring it up just because I wanted to make sure I made it known, and I have a note here that I wanted to do something with this, is that it's okay for these types of things to stress you out because they are scary, borderline terrifying. I was stressed the whole night. I didn't get to any semblance of sleep till like 7 that morning. So I would be the first to say it's a very stressful thing to go through, especially when you're not only worried about yourself, but you have friends you don't know anything about. My roommate was stuck in a locker room in a wreck the whole time. And I've been told that's not a very comfortable place to be stuck in for hours on end. But, and I said this, I believe we said this in a post we made about the situation. It's okay not to be okay. You don't have to put up, not that people are, but you don't have to feel as if you have to present yourself as if it's fine, it's okay, because it's not a common thing, but it's not uncommon either. And in today's climate, getting notice of a lockdown can mean a lot of different things that incur a lot of different feelings. And I wanted to say, and we can discuss this later. This isn't necessarily something I'm going to do right now, but I wanted to discuss if people would be interested in trying to see if we could put together some sort of event with the counseling center to give students that space to try to decompress from what happened, address any concerns they have about what happened, anything of that sort, in a place in which they could be supported, both mentally and emotionally. But I wanted to just say that's something I'm curious if anybody is interested in helping me see through. We don't have to. I did get a call from Senator Alyssa Slotkin's office asking how everyone was doing and how the campus was responding to it. I did invite her to come to a meeting if she'd like to actually be on the ground and see how things were. Oh, I forgot I didn't tell you that part. Oopsies. What else did I put? And I want, and again, I just wanted to make sure that I gave you all the understanding that it's okay if you didn't handle it too well, or you didn't feel all that safe in those situations, because, like I said, these types of things violate the safety we're entitled to feel on the campus we spend far too much money to live on and attend. So this is my way of leading by example and not by words and telling you it's okay if you were, because I certainly was. All right, now we'll go back into what I had intended to start with. As a reminder, we have our SAFAC open house tomorrow from 11:30 to 1. Let's make sure the office is nice and clean for when folks come by to visit. Following that, I was going to mention OU Day at the Capitol has officially been scheduled. It is going to be from March 26th. The official time is from 9 to 3, which practically means it'll be from 7 to 5. If you can attend, it'd be a great opportunity and a way to engage with state lawmakers on a lot of different issues. So I recommend you all go. I plan to go. It's always a very fun thing, and lunch is provided for free, as is transportation. You don't have to drive because we get 2 buses to take us there. You can if you want to. Yes, there are 2. Well, we're paying for 1 bus. There are 2 buses.
So there's no cost to participants to attend.
No, there's no cost to participants to attend. What else did I wrote? To Legislator Markowitz about the settle panel, the room reservation for that was confirmed. I had a decent chat with VP Wadsworth about a few things. He has a habit of just popping by the office, so it's always nice to chat with him. I must admit, and I told him this plenty of times, it's sometimes a little startling because his predecessor had been to our office in 3 years. So when he just pops by, it's always kind of interesting for me to see. I did meet with Summer from SPB about the notion, I remember I mentioned this at the legislature meeting, but about the notion of us partnering with SPB on a few events, especially a giveaway hump day from Student Congress. She seemed pretty amenable to that. She did acknowledge that her group already has some events planned and at funds allocated in that way. So she said she'd give me a list of some things they're doing that we could potentially collaborate with them on. So I'll make sure to get that to you all and Speaker Fayette to see if there's any way we can do that. I took a note here that in discussing the resolution, hopefully with OUPD, I would bring up the notion of them doing patrols on campus. However that may look to them, I think Advisor Miller did make a good point about them having a presence on campus. Because all that it reminded me of when VP Lasecki and I were at OCC, and something we noticed all the time were the campus police either doing patrols on campus or there was one cop who used to ride his bike all the time when the weather was nice. Nice guy. But something so that the police department is a bit more ingratiated into the student body, and so students feel more comfortable reaching out to them to get help, so that they don't feel isolated in their little island in the mailing office. What else? Oh, the United Student Governance Conference. I know this is a very fun event that we got to host last year. It is being hosted this year by U of M Dearborn, and I don't have a date on it yet, but I know they're looking at mid to late March for that event. If you are interested in attending, please let me know and I can get your name down and get it over to the president over there. I did offer to host it this year because I felt like it would be easier planning wise. But the president in U of M Dearborn is graduating and he really, really wanted to host it. So I told him I would not complain about not having to spend money on it. What else? And I did talk with Parliamentarian Vella about their email to um the facilities individual, and I have a feeling that should end up rather fine. I also had the opportunity to talk about that issue with VP Wadsworth, and I was telling it to him in the frame of my concern is well, there's two things I got to talk to him about. That's what I wanted to say. Firstly, with the icing situation, it felt to me, and I've heard a few people say this, that they kind of pave the campus on the weekends, like everybody's gone, and by that I mean they usually don't. But I'll acknowledge they seem to have gotten a bit better about it. But he agreed with me, and his exact wording was actually, if the campus is open on the weekend, then we should be paving the ground like it is. So I can see he was rather in agreement with us on that issue, and I hope we can rope him in on our discussions with facilities to see if that can help in any capacity. And I don't know how many of you for the folks who live on campus, how many of you know about the transfer meals you can use at Tilly's and in Hillcrest? Okay. How many of you have seen that those only go from Monday through Thursday? Yeah, okay, me too. So I emailed VP Mackey and I asked him if there was any realm of possibility we could extend that to the weekends. And what was hilarious is he didn't know that they didn't go into the weekends. Neither did VP Wadsworth. Neither of them knew that this was only a Monday through Thursday thing. So he connected me with some folks on his staff because he acknowledged there's a lot of complexities that go into it that he's not personally up to snuff on. So he connected me with a guy who is. So I'm hoping to see if there's something we can do to help extend that service to the week. Because I know a lot of people tend to have issues with accessibility to food when the dining halls close. And I know, because I've used them, that the transfer meals are a decent alternative. Because if you've ever shopped at Tilly's or any other store on this campus, it is like highway robbery. I mean, $5 for a can of Pringles? I don't think so. But we don't get paid to listen to me rant all the time. So seeing if we can increase that accessibility to students is something that I'm hoping something good will come out of. Um, I don't have any other notes. So with that, I will leave the floor.
Thank you, President Johnson. I'll try and keep my report kind of quick here. We have a finance director. And we are hoping to also have a marketing director ready for all of you to approve at the next GBM. I'm glad that we've been able to get these vacancies filled. And we should get a report from the elections commissioner too. Logan was planning to be here tonight to give us a report, but was unable to make it. He had a last minute conflict. But the president and I will be meeting with him tomorrow, and we will share an update on election administration with you as soon as we get it. It'll be discussed at the legislature meeting, I'm sure.
I prefer it if he can. If he can't, then we will.
Yeah, one way or another, the legislature will get an update on Wednesday on that matter. Like Legislator Wolf mentioned, I had the opportunity to sit in on a meeting regarding student congress donating to the Kresge Library's Library Things project, and I think that's a great opportunity for us to give back to the student body with some of our excess funds. President Johnson, you said you had something?
Yeah, but it wasn't relevant.
Go ahead. So I gotta think of what I'm gonna say next.
Yes, I forgot the last thing I've had the opportunity to do lately. So I've been engaging with a few of our campus partners on some cultural events that we usually do. I have finally heard back from the CMI, the ISO, and the NAC, and they all are very interested in engaging with us on that one. So I'm going to see if I can't schedule a meeting with all of them to get a vibe of what commitments they're willing to make and how much planning I have to do to get them to make it. But I'm hoping we can do some very good cultural heritage events in the next couple of months that will A, help engage with the student body, and at my insistence and other few things, kind of force this campus to accept its inclusivity and the fact that there are many different communities on this campus who deserve the opportunity to, feel represented and to have their cultures respected and shown and viewed and whatnot. And we did get I did get the chance to meet with the chair of the Meadowbrook Ball to determine what our involvement was going to look like there. It is very probable our role in that is more so just funding, and I've sent in the request for that to happen, and I've learned that they set aside a few tickets for us. So but I think the number is, I think the emote we just witnessed from Legislative Mays means that she bought a ticket before she learned this information. So I'm guessing that's what just happened, but I could be wrong. So but I think we get a maximum of 6. I think you were there. I think that's the number she gave us. Is it 6? Okay, 6. So if you were interested in attending the ball, please let me know so that I can get that information to Advisor Miller. That concludes what I was going to say. Thank you. Sorry, Asia.
Thank you, President Johnson. Yes, I've also started some conversations with GNN about getting both Heritage Weeks and some other important student congress public events going. I'll be talking to some folks behind the scenes to see who's willing to take on projects. But you should get a more extensive report about those either at the legislature meeting or at next week's GBM. I think that's all I've got for you tonight. We'll now move on to other executive board reports. Director Demond.
All right, very quick. The final sustainability Shark Tank is this Thursday at 2 p.m. and Founders Ballroom B. I did have one quick complication with the deliberation room. So I just want to state to everyone here that between 4 and 5, we will have some university leaders like Chris Reed and Amy Baines Ruselli coming into our office for the conference room just to talk about it. But just to let you guys know, I'll clean it up. It'll be all perfect and nice. But if you'd like to be there, that'd be great. Make it feel.
I want to offer a quick note with that. please go to the Sustainability Shark Tank. It's a very, very fun concept.
It's really cool.
Both VP Lasecki and I did get the opportunity to sit in on some of the proposals, and we were both very thoroughly impressed with the level of dedication students have put into this. Not to mention, we are spending a lot of money on food for this event. So please go and eat the food. I beg of you, because I do not want it to get thrown away. That's too much money to waste. Thank you.
And wasting food at a sustainability event
It's not very sustainable.
No, it's rather ironic.
It's pretty much the antithesis of the event itself. So please do your sustainability duty. Come to the event and eat the free food that you technically paid for because you paid tuition. Thank you, and I yield the floor.
Director Van Patten.
Yes, so I mean, you basically seen what I've been working on for, I mean, the past week or so. I saw that all day. I, to touch on what Chairperson Black said earlier, I basically already created a copy of the appendix with everything in it. And also an update on that, I spent the time to go through all the appendices and like reformat them already. So that'll be out basically like tomorrow, or I could be tonight, honestly. Actually, I need to add parliamentarian Bella's bill into there first. But then to touch on what Chairperson Black and then what Ledge Mays was talking about, yes, please spend money. I don't think we spent our budget last semester. I think we had money left over that could have been spent that I don't know as if it rolls over. I don't believe our budget rolls over in that way. So it does go to waste if we do not spend it.
Well, no.
Well,
I'll clarify.
Okay. It's best to just spend it when we can. And then to touch on, especially initiatives like what Ledge Mays suggested. Like, I think it's awesome to spend it on things like, the library of things. That's great. It's like resources students can use. But like anything that can alleviate burdens for students in that way, and I want to commend Ledge Mays for thinking of something like that. Because that is a big part of being a student on campus, which is buying books and the expenses in that way. So if I want to really recommend finding ways to alleviate students' burdens, right, in that kind of category. Please clarify.
So as far as our budget goes, the money doesn't just go away if we don't spend it. It does roll over. So for instance, if say we start, because I could use actual numbers. Actually, no, I'm not going to ask you to pull up the budget. We started the summer semester with a little over 100,000, and we only spent about 30. So that 70 that's left becomes our starting balance for the fall. And then you add in the student activity fee allocation, and then whatever we don't spend from the fall becomes our starting balance for the winter. So it does roll over, it just might not roll over the way you might think. So it does not go away if we don't spend it. It's there for the next group, which is why my other caution is always before we go crazy and go on a shopping spree on Amazon. I would like to refer you all to the last time we did that, which was the end of 2 years ago. And what that led to was us having to start the next year having a budgetary issue where we had to change the entirety of the budget on a whim because there were some accounting things that weren't taken mind of a few admins ago.
Point of information, President Johnson, is there a common name for this event?
A budgetary crisis.
The budgetary crisis?
The budgetary crisis, I apologize. But I do agree with Director Van Patten and Chair Black that we should be doing as much as we can to support the students. I just want to make sure that in doing so, the next group does have money to spend. So I've just offered that, and we also have to keep in mind our compensation plan. Because we cannot spend money out of that we don't have, which I might have something on that in a little while, depending on a few answers that I get. But I want to make sure we remember we have to account for that as much as anything. Because it is a very decent percentage of our budget. Sorry, you would believe the amount of conversations I have to have with other people about how much we budget for our compensation and how we choose that number. And this is the third. It's very fun if you're not me. I yield the floor.
Thank you, President Jeff.
Yeah, nothing.
Everyone, good? All right, that does it for executive board reports. Are there any questions on executive reports? Legislator Wolf.
Two questions directed at two different people. Do you want me to say them both right now, or do you want me to like respond?
One at a time would probably be better.
Okay, for Director Desmond, do you have any updates on the rewilding initiative?
I will be meeting with Dr. Jameson on the 16th.
Okay, that's exciting. And for VP Lasecki, who is chairing this meeting, I was wondering if you have any updates on acquisition of more of, replenishing the resources for the free vending machine. And also if you have any updates on the key to the vending machine.
Not yet. I will have an update in the next couple days.
Okay, excellent. I yield.
Don't mind us. I'm just yelling. Go ahead.
Are there any other questions on executive reports? We have 3 spares.
We better have 3 spares.
Chris Reed gave us 4 keys.
I know he did. Okay, I'm just yelling at.
Now moving on to the advisories report. Advisor Miller, you have the floor.
All right. I have a request from Ann Rayford, who is the director of the council, or I'm sorry, Grand Council. This is a very, very last minute request. But she would like to know if anyone from OUSB would like to table at the Love Respectively event over at Oakview Hall tomorrow evening. It's from 6 to 8 o'clock. In particular, she would like to distribute the emergency contraception Plan B items that you still have, and on any other goodies that you wish to pass out. Besides Graham being there, there will be Oakland County Health Department offering free STI screening, immunizations, education on meningitis B vaccine, and other activities. They would love to partner with you and in particular to get the emergency contraception Plan B into student hands.
Oh, you want to take that?
We have a volunteer. Is that all, Advisor Miller? Okay.
Is it 2? All right, I appreciate that very much. Yes.
Was myself and patient.
Patient? Thank you. All right. Next, I just want to emphasize this week is OU Kindness Week. And we provided free hot chocolate and cookies and Krispies and other goodies to pass out today, but we have an event every single day. And I just want to make sure you talked last week about visibility. These are great opportunities for OUSD to be visible. We have a blood drive tomorrow. If you are in the habit of giving blood, really appreciate that because the supply is low due to the weather and in particular of people not giving blood because of that. So that's just going to be in 128 through 130. You can either make an appointment and or they will do walk-ins if their time frame is available to accommodate you, but it is such a great cause. How more to be kind than to give the gift of life. So thank you for that. If you choose to do that, tomorrow's the open house, all lower level of the Oakland Center. Really an opportunity to promote your organization, all the staff back organizations, and to get students involved in your particular organization. Well, Wednesday is OU Day of Kindness, opportunity to give back to the community by doing projects specifically for communities. And also we have a volunteer fair. So we have nonprofits and social service agencies will be there. They're looking for volunteers, looking for summer job opportunities in case you're looking. So it's a great opportunity to meet individuals up close and personal and see what they have to offer. And possible internships, because I hear the need for it. And they are also in the need of your wonderful opportunities to use your talents and skills in their agencies. We have Greek Day, which is going to be all day on Thursday. Of course, we're going to promote Shark Tank as well. And then we have Greek Night, as well as there's going to be a tribute to Glenn McIntosh at the Thursday night game. There were tickets available through Judy. I don't know if they still have some available, but you certainly could ask on behalf of anyone. Well, you don't need tickets because you can.
They mentioned there was some on the Saturday game, but they haven't mentioned the Thursday one, but I can ask them about it.
Okay. But you get in, but there's lots of giveaways both Thursday night and Saturday. I think Saturday is Wonka. And then on Friday, huge things happening because we have Valentine Crafts and we're having a OU Celebrity Hug Day at the craft show down at the Living Wall. And one of the greatest huggers on this campus is going to be there. And that's Ann Rayford from Graham. She gives the best hugs. So if you're in need of one, please come by and just get one. Also on the afternoon, in the evening, SVP's got speed dating. So they got canceled last year because of the weather. So hopefully we're gonna have great weather this Friday and come up, and there's fabulous prizes at that as well. And then WXOU is presenting Chrome Hearts, and that's gonna be over at the Crowfoot. So this is gonna be off campus, but there they have shuttle service, go back and forth between the university and the Crowfoot. So you don't have to drive, because parking is close there. And leave the the driving to someone else, listen to great music and find a different venue to go to hear some great music and lots of opportunity to meet and greet others and have a fabulous time. And I'd be for them. Then next week, I just want to remind you, another tradition coming up is Winterfest. So we're having a free, non-alcoholic tailgate right before it. It's the men's game next Friday. But we're also showing the night before Space Jam New Legacy because Space Jam is their theme. And so that's going to be in the Habitat. And last but not least, I just want to tell you that food that you're talking about, and it's your various events, don't forget, if you can, if there's anything left over, you don't want to, let it go to waste, you can bring it down to the food pantry because we have refrigerators, 2 of them. You can put that in there. We accept perishable food. Bring the eating utensils and stuff with you because we do need that, but we've been more than happy to make sure that that food is distributed to the students if you don't eat it. Just a friendly reminder about that. Any questions from you? Yes. Richard, what is it? I have more.
A question on behalf of the 3 of us who are going to be table tomorrow night. Do we need to sign anything or just to show up?
I'm going to let her know who's the picture. And I'll have a table. You don't need to sign up a table. She will make all those arrangements. You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate all of you. You're doing such a great job.
Thank you, Advisor Miller.
I would like to offer a point of information. that Aaron Rayford does give very amazing hugs. I've been on the receiving end of one before, and she like hugs your soul. It's kind of like getting a kiss from a puppy, kind of heals you a little bit, which explains why she has her job. Sorry.
Thank you, President Johnson. Now it's time for comments from the gallery. Seems like we've got a few people in the gallery. Anyone want to speak? Yes, thank you for attending the meeting. Hope you found it at least somewhat entertaining, enlightening, educating, one of the, or boring, says the president. Final call? No comments? I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Do we have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? Good night, folks. We stand adjourned.
I'm gonna be at a casino like the day before. I might not.
I was calling them because I wanted to.
I'm so excused. Go talk to the judiciary chair, get excused.
I'm Mark. So my appointment. I've never seen you at a meeting. I just wanted to say.
Yeah, this is the first meeting of it.
Are you a prospective legislator with us this evening?
Yes, I had spoken to some of those lovely folks up there and it should be good for me too. Yeah.
I think we met in the office last week.
Oh, yeah,
May have.
I've seen you before.
Well, we're
Actually,
more
we've
than-
met a number of times.
Awesome. Could you do me a favor?
Remind me where.
I need you to draft, write your name and pronouns on here so that I can.
But I
order
have seen you
your-
pretty.
And your name tag. I have a few of
Just-
those to order, but I want to make sure I get the spelling.
Oh,
Oh, I hope you enjoyed
Sure, the
yourself.
safe
in your-
space for you.
You can draw
Are not
the page, so it's okay.
No, it was wonderful. It was very wonderful to watch.